Hello everyone, welcome to Kalaneca presents 6 Yards and 6 Questions, India's exclusive Saree podcast featuring Saree Crusaders. I am Ramya Rao.
And I am Kavya R. Chavali, and we are the co-founders of Kalaneca, the brand that designs and creates hand-woven sarees that speak your style.
So through this podcast, we are on a quest to look at a saree beyond it being a one-dimensional fabric. And we're going to do that with the help of the stories of people who are multidimensional in their own personalities.
In fact, that's a plan because we are planning to bring on board some amazing set of saree enthusiasts. Now, these are the names who are changing the landscape of the handloom industry across the globe.
So who happens to be our guest for today? Well, he is not just a handloom enthusiast, but he's also an entrepreneur. He's the founder of Red Earth, and most importantly, an amazing person to have a conversation with.
That's right, it's time to weave a conversation with the SareeMan Himanshu Verma.
All right, so hi Himanshu, and a warm welcome to you to Kalaneca Presents 6 Yards and 6 Questions. And thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to hear that Kalaneca is doing this lovely series of podcasts.
Thank you again, Himanshu. So let's quickly deep dive in. Now, the fact that you are a saree enthusiast and a saree crusader as well, I think all of us are very curious to understand how the journey, in fact, began with the 6 Yards.
So the journey was a accident to start with because I was working on a project on masculinity way back in 2005-6, and I was looking at, there was a whole new wave of how the new man is very liberated, and there was a lot of discussion on how he uses products, he dresses up, he's big into fashion.
Wow.
So I just wanted to take that discourse into a different space by looking at Indian masculinity, and I just thought that let me try wearing a sari as a device of appropriating femininity or trying to work with androgyny. So that's when I started wearing the sari in public, and then it was really well received, and slowly very often I was wearing saris to a lot of public appearances and art openings and other events like that in Delhi. And gradually it sort of evolved into a much deeper love over several years for handlooms and the different types of beautiful saris that India provides us with.
Oh, that's right indeed. In fact, we ourselves have witnessed the way how you carry off the sari, or for that matter, spread the love. That brings me to my next question. In fact, when we're talking about handloom per se, what are the trends that you forecast for the Indian handloom industry?
So I think in a way, trends are very fashion-centric, and the Indian textile industry is slightly different. But yet, you cannot ignore that it is also driven by trends. And so I don't know, when we say trends, it's more of a neutral term. But in this case, I'd like to point out some, according to me personally, there are kind of unhappy developments in the handloom space, because what we are observing is that the simplicity of saris is going away. So it's very hard to get the simple everyday kind of saris, or even if it's more dressy saris, ceremonial saris, you tend to have what we call the new aesthetic coming into the saris, which is nice, but at the same time, it's becoming harder and harder to find those older pieces which are of an older style in all across traditions, be it Kanjivaram or Banaras, or even lesser known weaves like Narayanpet or Elikal. So that is something that I think is not such a great thing. At the same time, it brings in a lot of new ideas into the sari universe. And also, sadly, there is a lot of use of bad quality raw material, bad yarns, maybe to cut costs, etc. So those, I think, are some of the unhealthier trends that are kind of developing in the Indian handloom industry.
Okay, so that in fact is a very good takeaway to understand, because these are the real problems actually plaguing the handloom industry.
Right.
If I could then...
Plus, I forgot to mention that, there's also this terrible barrage of neon fluorescent colors in the handloom space as well, because, it's so fashionable now.
Yeah.
But the Indian colors are going away in a way, and these new neon colors are taking over. So that's a scary trend forecast.
All right. So neon seems like a scary trend forecast. Fair enough, actually. And you're right, talking about the way the color splash has been happening across the handloom industry as well. So let me then bring back the conversation again to something which maybe on a happy note. Who do you think would be your
Sure.
fashion icon when it comes to a sari?
So my favorite fashion icon in a sari is the musician Shubha Mudgalji, who I know very well, and I've had the chance of observing her and talking to her a lot about saris. And I think, like for me, this whole image of the sari in action, in this case in music, is very interesting because one is that she is a great collector of saris and she wears the most exquisite saris, but also to see the sari as it pans out in music, in this case, or other industries like dance or other cultural practitioners. I think it's very fascinating. So that she would probably be my sari icon, sari guru, and my diva in a sari.
That's such a beautiful way you've actually, sort of shared about her because everybody knows her musical side, but the sari side
Right.
and the way she drapes the sari and the way she carries it off, I think that's magical
Sure.
indeed. So let's also move on to something very special that you founded, the Red Earth. What really
Right.
went into your mind while conceptualizing Red Earth?
Again, it was something that developed over several trial and error kind of projects that we did. But basically, when I started Red Earth, it was meant to be a multi-arts organization, which it continues to be today. And we worked in a range of themes from design to art to sometimes to with performing arts as well. And we continue to keep expanding what we do or keep changing our focus every now and then. So that's the whole idea behind Red Earth, to celebrate Indian culture as it exists in contemporary urban India today in a small way, as far as we can.
So how has social media helped you carry the work of Red Earth forward?
Right. So as you may have noticed, social media has been a very important part of some of our projects and the way we disseminate them, and especially with the Saree Festival, the social media presence has been a very key factor in determining the visibility and also the dissemination and marketing of our festivals, because we've also been studying what is happening on the social media space in terms of sari wearers, and we had a whole project documenting various types of sari wearers posting on social media.
Okay.
So I think it's a great space because one is a lot of us learn a lot from social media about saris. At the same time, it's also kind of stupid because it can be narcissistic, or sometimes it's kind of very self-indulgent posting about this sari and a random story about a sari. So I think it needs to be looked at with a love-hate relationship, and that's what we've been doing. We've been of course, you can't ignore social media. At the same time, we've also been critical of it when it comes to that.
Well, that's actually a very wise word that you've shared, Himanshu, which also, in fact, brings me now to my sixth and my last question is, what are the stereotypes that you'd like to break in 2020 when it comes to the 6 years?
Well, actually, the same stereotype that I've been trying to break ever since we started the project and ever since I started wearing saris, that it is not really difficult at all to wear saris. And people have all kinds of excuses not to wear a sari. They say that it takes like too long to wear a sari, it's too hot to wear a sari, it's too cold to wear a sari, etc., etc., etc. But it's all a myth. And I think by wearing saris every day or as often as we'd like to, we can really inculcate this love for saris with a lot of people who sometimes feel that it's difficult or cumbersome. And of course, I'll also continue to break the stereotype that the sari is only for women, which is now catching up as a lot of other men are also wearing saris. So that's my mission for 2020.
It's amazing, Himanshu. In fact, this little conversation that we have had, it's just so amazing to see the kind of nuggets of insights that we're getting from you as well. And we only hope that you continue to inspire not just the women, but men, but everyone across to adopt and adapt the love for saris. So on that note, I would like to thank you so much for your time, actually. And thank you so much for being our guest here on our podcast.
Not at all. My best wishes to Kalaneca and Jai Saree.
Jai Saree. Thank you so much again, Himanshu. Thank you.
Okay.